I have a question for you. Can this rainbow obsessed, color loving, crazy woman ever be a minimalist? And what would that even look like? I really don't know, but let's think about that. Welcome back to my channel. If you saw my start of your video talking about my wish list goals, I don't even know what I called it at this point, but in a video at some point in the beginning of the year, I mentioned how I would like to be buying less, tracking my purchases, having most of the things I buy be secondhand, and I have not done so well at that. I'm still thrifting. I love thrifting. I'm buying a lot secondhand. I've definitely shown that a lot on my Instagram. But I quit tracking my purchases, and I have certainly been buying a lot of little things here and there, a couple big things, fewer big things than previous years. I had a bunch of trips come up. I talked about this in my Scotland video recently, where I don't want to be putting huge amounts of money into fashion, especially the big things, but at the same time I don't want the little things to add up. And I'm not going to be buying a lot of super cheap clothing. That's not something I want to do. But so if I'm looking at that $40 to $60 price range, things really add up. So I'm trying to think about what I want to do moving forward. Several months ago, I did a video about bags and body types. I was just kind of playing with the idea that certain bag shapes are more flattering on my frame. I did get into learning about the whole Kibbe thing. I just kind of stumbled on a video here on YouTube and I thought it was really interesting. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a clever idea, and a lot of it just felt very intuitive to me. I realized that I was doing a lot of it anyway, so I'm so not going to give a breakdown of the Kibbe system, but it's essentially imagine your figure straight on as just geometrical shapes. You know, some of us have a lot of curves, some of us are very angular, you can be very long or quite small. Like, these things also mean something a little bit different in the Kibbe system, you know, so like Kibbe petite isn't necessarily what we always think of as petite, you know, but as a math person, I really like the idea of just looking at objective, simple geometric shapes and then applying them in my wardrobe, seeing what flatters me. So I'm quite long, but I also have a fair amount of curve in my figure. Something I really like about the whole Kibbe system, and this is just my interpretation, like, it definitely inspires a lot of like Kibbe fanatics. People are so into it, which I really get. It's very cool, and it's fun to break these things down, but this is just my like very basic interpretation. But the way I see myself is I have a lot of length in my form. I have a long, kind of like narrow face. My arms are very long. My mom used to always tell me that I got my dad's like long monkey arms. We're very long-limbed people. And so I have that, but then a fair amount of curve. I think I was about to say something, but with the whole Kibbe system, I really like how you can be like a size 2 or 22 and you can still have like those same geometric shapes. So it's not broken down by size, and I find it's a little bit more intuitive than the whole pear, apple, hourglass kind of shape thing. But whatever makes sense to most people, I mean, or that individual, it doesn't really matter, but this is what I'm kind of into, and it helped me realize why I like certain rounded, softer bags. My thinking is that I can use this and color seasons to really narrow down what I'm buying. That's kind of the point that I wanted to get to in this video. So if I were to have a more minimalist approach to what I buy, I know that my capsule wardrobe would look very different to a lot of the neutral capsule wardrobes on here, but that doesn't mean I can't apply the same concept. Basically, they're just taking a handful of colors and really just narrowing down their wardrobe to those ones, taking silhouettes that are classic to their form, something that looks good on them, and keeping their shopping within those limits, you know? So what are my favorite colors? If you're familiar with my channel, I think you'll know that I love pink, purple, I would say that my neutrals are a bright white and soft blues. I really like blue. I typically default to navy. I really like black, but the only downside to black for me is that it just shows all the cat hair that I'm always covered in. So I think I can take a lot of the steps within a capsule wardrobe and apply them to my colorful preferences and the silhouettes that actually work for me. Now, I do have a lot of clothes already. A lot of them were purchased secondhand. I don't think there's anything wrong with shopping secondhand, and it's allowed me to experiment. I don't think I really would have come to this conclusion if I hadn't been able to shop secondhand, because the great thing is that you can try on a bunch of things, you can take them home and then redonate them. I like the idea of clothes having a cycle in this way, and if it's not right for me, it's probably going to be really great for somebody else. So I've been learning more this year about what colors suit me, what silhouettes. I think the most simple example is finding jacket lapels that suit you. So for example, I'm not petite. I'm not small in any of the Kibbe ways. And again, we're talking about these terms through that lens, not just like small or big or whatever in the way that we would typically hear them. So I'm not small in that way, and I realize that I've tried to wear some of these like little dainty things and Peter Pan collars, anything, you know, just too tiny, especially around the face. It never works for me, and I've bought so many things that I liked the idea of. I certainly liked the style because I've seen it look great on other people, but it just doesn't look good on me. So when it comes to something like lapels, I have found that I look best in softer fabrics, so linen, cashmere, a softer wool, sometimes something with like structure, but a rounded kind of softness to it, either through the cut or the fabric, and then having longer, more narrow lapels. I have this one thrifted Dolce & Gabbana jacket, and I don't think I've ever worn it out, or maybe I've worn it once. I did get it thrifted. It was maybe $30 at a vintage shop, because it's pretty old, but it is so wrong for me in like almost every single way. The fit is excellent. It fit me perfectly, and that's what made me feel like I had to have it. But the color is bad, and it has this big, wide, rounded lapel, and I just like, it doesn't look terrible, partly because the cut. I think if I were to break down every piece of clothing, so you have the cut, the color, and the details. This is no official system. This is just how I like to break those things down. And if you have one of them that's perfect for you, then it'll look good or okay, you know, maybe like okay enough to buy, but it'll still look a little off. And I find that when I buy something that only has one of these three things in line with what's good for me, and I mean, I hate to throw out a million preferences and like, you know, just say like, oh, but like all that ultimately matters is that you feel good and you like it, you know, like that's a given, right? Like we know that here, like you should buy what makes you feel good. But I'm just trying to find a more systematic approach so that I don't spend as much money on things I know I'm not gonna wear. So what I was getting to was I find that if I buy something that only has one of these three things totally there, it's a good cut for me, but bad color, bad details, I don't wear it. Or I'll wear it a couple times and I'll never quite feel my best. I'll look at myself and just, yeah, something won't really spark as much joy as it could. But I also find that if I get, let's say, two of those things right, like an exceptional color, it just really brightens my features, it makes my eyes stand out, something that just, when I look at myself, I feel quite bright and alive. If I have that and the cut right or the details, and when I'm talking about those details, I mean like the right shapes. I go into this also in like the bags and body type video where, for example, let's say you were wearing a floral dress. Are you going to wear a very like pointed, long petal flower thing, you know, or like maybe something very geometric, or some like a very rounded, soft, kind of muted flower. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many flower shapes, and you can find little details that mirror your features. I think that's kind of weird and cool. So I'm really into this. But finding details that match me, if I have 2 of those 3 things, I still feel pretty good in that. I wear those a fair amount of the time. And then the pieces that have all 3, I will keep them for years and years. And this is something that I've witnessed in my own wardrobe that's purely anecdotal, but I have found the things that I have had for 5, 10 plus years even, it meets all 3. I want to share a couple skirts with you, and it made me laugh as I was preparing for this video, seeing all of these skirts lined up. I think you'll see the similarities between them. Okay, so here we have this skirt from Anthropologie. Oh, sorry, I'm dropping things, that's fine. It has a lot of color in it. I love this skirt. I have had it for maybe 6 or 7 years. I wear it to work, I wear it casually. I think it's beautiful. You can wear it with a simple white t-shirt. It's quite fitted. It comes like just to my knees. It's a little too fitted for me right now. I was smaller when I bought this, but it shows off the curves of my hips really nice and in a way that I really like. And you'll notice that there's no hard lines on this. You know, there's no strong obvious squares or strong lines in this. So I like how the pattern also kind of, you know, gives this curve to it, but a lot of color. Moving on. Oh, look, more color with a lot of blue, pink, yellow, all these things. I mean, these are clearly not the same skirt, but I think we can see some overlap. This is probably my favorite garment in my entire wardrobe. That's really hard to say, but it is a 100% silk skirt from Anthropologie, and I bought this maybe 12 years ago. It is perfect. I keep my clothes in really good condition, mostly by steaming them, hand washing them when I absolutely have to, but steaming will clean things very, very well. It's a beautiful skirt. Again, just to my knees. Thinking about my proportions, I think skirts and jacket lapels, like skirt length and jacket lapels, is like 2 really, really helpful things to break down and figure out what suits you. And when things are like just past my kneecaps, like just past, I find that that is the most flattering thing. It makes my legs look longer, it makes me feel good. And this is, unlike the other one, it's very soft and flowy, but it just kind of skims over my hips. It's not too voluminous, so it's just that, I don't know, Goldilocks skirt for me. Not too puffy, not too tight, and I think that for me, this meets all 3. You know, it's great colors for me. It's this very flattering blue. I do lean more cool toned, so anything blue typically works, you know, unless it has more yellow in it. But this has an array of colors, so it's really easy to style. I can pick any color in this or pair it with white. The only thing I wouldn't wear with this is black, but it is a beautiful, beautiful skirt that I've loved for years, and I think I'll be able to wear for many years to come. Something a little bit different, but you can see very similar colors. So you have blue, green. The funny thing about this is I noticed that this actually is not great for me. This is a Veronica Beard skirt. It's short, and unlike the other ones, I realize that I need to tweak it a little bit to actually make it perfect for me. So it has colors that are good on me, but the details aren't quite right. So it has these long lines which work, but it's also quite short, and it has these obvious squares. Those just aren't shapes that I have in my form so much. This would look really good on someone who is more petite, I think, just in my opinion. But I can make small tweaks to the rest of my outfit that make this work. I'll try to have pictures of things that I mean. But when I wear this, I find I look shorter if I just wear this and a t-shirt, but if I wear something longer over it, so I have this yellow rain jacket I've worn with this, and the yellow rain jacket comes to just about the length of the skirt, right around there. And having that long line going down my body, meeting at the skirt, makes it more harmonious with the shapes I naturally see in my figure. And then one of my most recent thrifted finds, I think that this is, it reminds me of like a middle ground between this and the first skirt that I showed you. So this one, very similar colors, you can probably see. So this was a thrifted vintage skirt. I'm so obsessed with it. I haven't had a chance to wear it. It's more of a work skirt, but it does have these long lines. It's a very soft tweed fabric, so it mirrors that softness that I need. It's a really great length, so I'm not fighting with it like I am with the mini skirt. Yeah, I love, 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 love the colors in this. Okay, so what am I actually getting at with this video? Of course, I am not saying that, oh, you should buy a bunch of skirts that kind of look the same, but kind of don't. I didn't really plan out this video, so I'm doing a bad job of explaining my reasoning for showing all of those skirts. I wanted to show how I've bought a number of skirts that look very similar over a number of years, and some of them have the cut, the color, the details, all of those things are right, and of course I'm wearing those pieces a lot more. Some of them fell a little short, no pun intended, because the shorter skirt, that one I just wasn't reaching for it. The details weren't exactly harmonious with my frame, and so I reached for them less. But what I want to do is stick to a main color palette. If you watched my last video, you might have noticed that there was a lot of purple, burgundy, blue in there. Those are the colors that I'm really zeroing in on. So I took out two of my favorite tops just to show you. These are bodysuits. But if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I gravitate towards this pink a lot. I love what it does for my features. I like how, I don't know, it makes me feel bright, bubbly, alive. I love this color. But then I also have a softer pink, and I can wear this pink top with any of those skirts. I think I have worn it with all but one of the skirts. So these are neutrals for me. If you think about them in terms of this wardrobe where I'm mostly getting things that are purple, pink, pairing them with blue, I do want to just zero in on these colors. And recently before I buy something, I've been making it fit within those limits. It has to be a good color. Are the details right? Is it actually going to fit me? Also buying something that can fit me at a variety of shapes. So that one color, the one skirt I said that I've had for 12 years, so that is because it's loose at the hips and it's fitted at the waist. I can kind of I've been able to move that waistline a little bit up, a little bit down as my weight has fluctuated. You know, things aren't going to always fit perfectly, but trying to buy things that have a little bit more wiggle room. I would love to hear your thoughts on this rambly video. I hope my direction was clear. The purpose of this, essentially, I am looking to continue buying less. I did fairly well for the first quarter of the year, bought a little bit more, and then I started buying a lot less after my trip. So of course these things are going to come in waves, but I want to just continue to improve, buying less and making sure the things that I am buying are actually good for me in the long run. So I'd really like to know, have you heard of this whole Kibbe system? Are you into it? What do you think about buying things for shapes, or do you just want to play with absolutely everything? No restrictions, no rules. I would love to know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.